So this video is to accompany a book I wrote back in 2013, suggesting some ideas and licks to develop your improvisation and hopefully harness a few new tricks you can put in your bag. We're going to be covering a variety of different techniques which can enhance your playing, make it more interesting to play, more exciting to the listener. One thing you'll need to know before we carry on any further is the scale of G pentatonic minor. If you don't know your pentatonic minor scale, you want to learn it because it's one of the most useful and most used, I wouldn't say overused, but a very, very useful scale for most guitarists. And we're going to use G pentatonic minor, which goes like this. Always good to know your scales forwards as well as backwards, and never practice them any faster than you can get all the notes smooth and right. This scale, along with all the licks we're going to look at, are available in the book, which is going to be free, available to all students, which we can collect off the website. If you want to get hold of it, get in touch. I'm sure we can arrange something. So here is lick number 1. Okay, so lick number 1 is using dynamics, which is the variation between loudness and quietness. Now, we're not talking about changing your volume knob here or on your amp, which you could do to add some variables to it. We're talking about how hard you pick the string, whether it's with a pick or maybe you just use fingers, from soft notes to loud notes. There's obviously a change in volume, but there's also a change in the tone of the notes. The harder, louder notes have got a bit more attack to them. And if you've got your amp set in such a way that the gain starts to break, you can get some kind of nice tones. Maybe the softer notes are clean, the harder notes start to break up. That's taking it to the extremes. So the first lick, you could break this into 3 mini licks actually. You need to think of all of your improvisation as a line of a song, a sentence, and a sentence starts and ends with a full stop. Imagine a singer singing this song. They need to have a breath somewhere in there. There could be a few commas along the way in their line of their song, their sentence, and that's where it connects with the human listener, because we're used to hearing conversations, and this is just another language, isn't it, to connect with your listeners. So our first lick, think of it as a sentence. There's a couple of commas in there. The first mini phrase, if you like, is just 2 notes. Play with force, a bit of volume. Really straightforward. The next one is kind of like an echo of that with some softer notes. Again, only 2 notes used so far. The third part of it in the third bar. 2 notes played with a bit of attack, a bit of volume, and we finally finish off with a soft little lick and the concluding 2 notes, attack, loud to be heard. Lick number 2 is going to use a fairly easy technique, and that is sliding. Now we can use slides in 2 different ways. We can usually get from note 1 to note 2, whether that's up or down. And we can also use it, as we will do, as an effect into 1 note. So instead of just playing 1 note, we're going to slide into that note. That can be done up as well as down. So we don't really hear the first note, but we hear there's something there which adds a little bit of something special to it, spices it up. So let's take a look at this lick in a bit more detail. We start off with a slide from fret 3 to fret 5 on the A string. think about your finger in here, because if you slide instinctively with your first finger, you're going to be struggling to probably jump to fret 3, which is the following note on the G string. So I'm going to suggest, and this is totally up to you which fingers you want to use. After all, if it sounds right, it is right. Whether you play it with your teeth and your toes, it doesn't matter. We're going to slide up from fret 3 to 5, and the first finger should fall nicely on the following note on fret 3 of the G string. The next little part of that, we're going to slide from 5 to 3 and back to 5 on the D string. And we managed to get 3 notes for the price of 1 pick there. Okay, they're not as noticeable as the first one, because we lost the energy of the note. But they're there. And we conclude on fret 3 with a pick note. So, slide up. And the second part of the lick, bars 3 and 4, these are going to be the quick slides, which is a grace note from 3 to 5. And then on the D string, sliding back down to 3. And then finally, 5. And then we're 3 to 5. Again, check out the notation available in the book to see how we can use these. Lick number 3, or phrase number 3, we're using slurs. Now, technically, I suppose a slide that we've just looked at is a slur of some sort. We more commonly probably think of hammer-ons and pull-offs. Now, this takes a little bit more strength in your fingers because you're actually generating notes using your left hand. And the first part of this is a slow trill, which is a combination of hammer-ons, pull-offs in succession. Now, the trick to this is the name kind of tells you what it is. The hammer on, play notes, and then hammer on the following notes. If we come on softly, you can hear it kind of kills the note as we land on it. So we need to, as the name suggests, hammer on. They'd probably be better off called whack-ons with a bit of force. With a decent hammer, you can actually generate a note out of thin air without a pick, which can be quite cool if you want to show off playing one-handed. But this first little lick, hammer-ons, pull-offs. Pull-offs, by the way, I like to call them twang-offs a bit more, because as well as just pulling off, you can get the note just by lifting your finger up. But the trick to this is to actually give it a little flick with your finger as you come away, to put some energy back into the note again. So, and then we do the D string. Second part, bars 3 and 4, we're going to do a pull off from 6 to 3, which might mean you got to use the pinky, which is a bit of a tough call because it's the smallest, weakest finger. If you've got a bit of a stretch, you could use finger 3, whichever one gets you the results. And then we finish the lick with hammer on and a pull off on the D string. Again, check out the notation, it's all in there. Lick number 4, we're going to be taking a look at bends, which is one of the tougher techniques, I think, to get good control and accuracy with it. Now, there's no set amount of measurement how far to bend, because it varies where you are on the guitar, which string you're using, what strings you use, and certainly if you're using something like an acoustic guitar, bending is going to be a really big effort. The amount of tension you're fighting against there is going to take some superpower in your fingers, not for the faint-hearted. So let's check out our lick. A bit like the slides and the slurs, we're going to transition from one note to another. We can either do it where you hear the notes involved, as in the first bend. We hear note 1 and we hear note 2, which is a result of the bend. Notes as well, it's a good idea to probably have 1 or 2 extra fingers to help with the bend, because bending with one finger alone takes a lot of finger strength. So 2 or 3 other fingers, they're all working together. You're only going to hear one note, the note that's being bent. The other little tip is the thumb coming over the top there. That can help give you some extra power that you need and the control. You can bend the string towards the floor or towards the ceiling. Either way, you're bending up in pitch. You listen to hear they sound the same. So technically you can't bend a note down, you can only increase the pitch. There are ways to bend a note down, which I'll look at a little bit later on in this video. Or we could use a whammy bar. For the sake of this video, we're forgetting whammy bars. So we've got note 1, transition to note 2, and then we're going to pick it and release it. So that gives us the illusion of a bend down. It's already pre-bent, and we release it, we get the bend down effect. Bar 3, halfway through, we've got a bend up and down. So we get 3 notes for the price of 1 pick. 1, 2, 3. A couple of pick notes. And the next bend is used as an effect. So we're not actually going to play the resultant note straight away. We're going to bend into it. Again, a bit like the slide. It's not 100% clear what's happening, but we can hear something's happening before the notes, which gives it a nice, spices it up again. And then we're going to release it. And 2 pick notes to finish. Once more, see the notation and everything's in there, explained, and you can see what's going on. The next thing we're going to look at is vibrato, and this is a bit of a tricky one. There's a couple of ways to do the vibrato. Again, forgetting any use of whammy bar. The wobbly notes, it's in the family of the bends, I guess, because you're doing rapid small bends, and you can afford to do this downwards or upwards, as in towards the ceiling or the floor, to get the same kind of sound. Now, it's quite mild, so you can get away with using one finger for this, and I would suggest practicing your vibrato with each of your fingers so they're all armed and ready to be able to do that on demand. The first note in this lick that we've just listened to, fret 6 on the B string, and we're going to give it a wobble. Probably use these fingers because in the scale of the G pentatonic minor that we're using, it's these fingers hopefully they're going to be hanging around on frets 5 and 6. A bend on a vibrato on fret 3. Some played quavers, crotchet quaver, and a vibrato on our fret 5. Actually, the last note. Ways to do vibrato. You may see classical guitarists using the method of vibrato, going backwards and forwards, a bit like a violinist, but the effects are very, very mild and probably not giving us the results we need as a guitar player. So rapid movements up and down, and don't forget you've got control over your vibrato. There's a couple of dimensions to it. There's the speed and the intensity, whether it's mild or some quite intense vibrato there. And if you're using the first finger, a little tip here is to imagine that the edge of your finger is rolling along the guitar like that. With your finger bent in, you'll notice it'll be going up and down. Hence you might see a lot of players with a shaky wrist kind of type vibrato. Work on that one, that takes a little bit more effort. So our last lick we're going to check out is a combination of everything we've looked at in this video. It's going to be using some hammer-ons, a little bit of use of dynamics, slides, bends, vibratos, the lots. And we're going to break this down into the different sections. So in the first bar, again, check the notation for this, all the tabs in there, so I don't have to show you that on the screen here. We're going to start off, pull off, and a vibrato on the C, fret 3 of the A string, a quick slide from 3 to 4, and then we go into a bend, fret 5 on the G string. Hammer, quick slide, fret 3 on the D string, and finish with our wobbly vibrato, fret 6 on the B string. So one more time, hammer, pull off, vibrato, quick slide, bend up, down, hammer, quick slide, and a wobbly 6. If you've got access to the website resources, there's all of these licks will be played for you, and then you're given the same backing track with no lead on it so you can practice. Don't worry about trying to make them sound exactly as they are. The idea, as I said, is for these to be ideas as a platform to springboard your own ideas. So, you know, if you're intending to play the lick that perhaps went, and you end up playing something that went, that's kind of cool because you've got your own lick there and it's personal to you. You're going to sound a little bit different from everybody else that's checking these out. And certainly if you get a lick you like that's cool, maybe you enjoy some of these, put them in your bag of your favourite licks, and then when the occasion arises, you can use it. Don't forget as well, if you're playing in G pentatonic minor with all these licks as we have been, you should be able to transfer it to any other pentatonic minor around the guitar. You know, if your favourite lick went in G minor, then if you're playing C minor, if you knew where it was, you can adapt it and reuse it there. It could be a faster song, or it could be a slow blues or country, or even a love song. Same lick, different gravy. Get on the website. Like I said, all the licks are played. You've got the backing track where you can have a go yourself, and also you'll find on there a 3-minute backing in G minor, so you can just noodle around and experiment with that and have to keep stopping and rewinding the backing to play. If you've got any questions, students, get in touch. As I said, anybody else that's interested in learning more about this stuff or wants the notation and the backing tracks, it's all available to my students. Get in touch, and well, I'll chat with you then.